St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. Depictions of her life told by Kyla T. St. Elizabeth Ann Seton was born on August 28, 1774, in New York. She was born to Dr. Richard Bailey and Catherine Charlton. With the Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776, Elizabeth was among the first American-born citizens. Her mother died when Elizabeth was only 3 years old, due to complications from the birth of Elizabeth's younger sister. Elizabeth Ann was baptized into the Protestant Episcopal Church when she was young. Her younger sister died just a year after her mother, when Elizabeth was 4 years old. Because of these losses, she was a strong believer in heaven growing up. Elizabeth's father worked as a professor of anatomy at Columbia University and the health inspector of the airport of New York. He was also a doctor in the Revolutionary War. Elizabeth's father went out of his way to help poor families. He taught Elizabeth how to be kind and helpful to others. Not long after Elizabeth's sister died, her father remarried a woman named Charlotte Amelia Barclay. Her father and stepmother later had several children, Elizabeth's stepbrothers and sisters. Elizabeth loved all her siblings very much. The children grew up in a wealthy family, with cooks and maids to care for them. When Elizabeth Ann was 19 years old, she married a man named William Maggie Seton. Their wedding took place on January 25, 1794. Not long after they were married, Elizabeth's new husband turned 26 years old. William Seton was in business partnership with his father. They owned and operated a large shipping company called Seton, Maitland and Company. In 1795, Elizabeth and William welcomed the birth of their first child, Anna Maria. Later on they had 4 more children: William, named after his father, Richard, Catherine, and Rebecca. After Elizabeth's father-in-law passed away, she and her husband took in and cared for all of William's younger siblings, with ages ranging from 7 to 17 years old. Over the years, William became very ill, and when he was at his worst, his doctors told him to go to Italy. However, 2 months after leaving America, he died from complications of tuberculosis. Elizabeth and her eldest daughter were the only family members who traveled to Italy with them. They were welcomed into the home of William's friends, the Felici brothers, after William's death. The Felici family took Elizabeth to a Catholic church in Florence. From the moment Elizabeth walked into the church, she knew this was where she wanted to be. Her friends in Italy helped her learn all about the Catholic faith. Elizabeth prayed to God for him to show her the way. She also prayed to the Blessed Virgin to guide her to the true faith. Elizabeth Ann officially joined the Catholic Church in March of 1805. Elizabeth had 3 main reasons for becoming Catholic. The first was her belief in the real presence of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. The second was her devotion to Mary, the Mother of God. And the third was the conviction that the Catholic Church led back to the apostles and Christ. Elizabeth was willing to make many sacrifices to do God's will, especially when many of her friends and her family members rejected her because she became Catholic. After returning to America, Elizabeth opened a school in Baltimore to support her children. The school was an academy for young women who were seeking to live a holy life. In 1809, Elizabeth took her religious vows, becoming a sister. They called her Mother Seton because she was allowed to continue to raise her children. Elizabeth and other sisters started a private school in Maryland. They were called the Sisters of Charity of St. Joseph. The sisters followed the rule of St. Vincent de Paul. Many sisters died of tuberculosis, along with 2 of Elizabeth's daughters. Elizabeth accepted the deaths and courage and hope and put all her trust into God. Elizabeth's favorite psalm, Psalm 23, came from all the deaths that occurred through her life. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The disease of tuberculosis finally caught up with Elizabeth, and she became very ill. She died January 4th, 1821, at the age of 46. Elizabeth Ann Seton was beatified by Pope John XXIII on March 17, 1963. She was the first American-born citizen to become a saint. Elizabeth Ann Seton was declared a saint by Pope Paul VI on September 14, 1975. Her feast day is celebrated on January 4th. Elizabeth Ann Seton is the patron saint of in-law problems, against the death of children, widows, death of parents, and the opposition of church authorities.